Good afternoon. This is Katie. I'm an associate at Atwood Financial Planning, coming at you with another weekly Q&A over here at Fearless Finance. Please let us know in the comments if you're here. Hi there down front. Thanks for coming in. Today we're going to be talking about living on a variable income. So managing your finances if you're not sure how much you're making in a given week or month. A lot of people are dealing with that right now since it's, hi Elizabeth, hi Regan. So we're excited to talk to you guys about variable income today. Go ahead and let us know in the comments if you have any questions as we go through this, or just give us a shout out as far as where you're checking in from. Hi Alyssa. All right. So please do stay with us live so that you can ask any questions that you have. But don't worry, we will post a recording later on here on our page. Hi, Alyssa. All right, Lori's in the mix. Wonderful. Hi, Regan. So as I was saying, we will be posting this later on our page so that you can reference it later. So you don't have to take notes, but please do stick around. So today we're talking about managing your finances on a variable income. So if you make something different every week or every month, sometimes it can be difficult to understand, where your money's going. A lot of people decide to just stop paying attention and hope for the best. So we're here to give you guys a great way to manage that so that you're not worrying about living paycheck to paycheck and worrying about not paying your bills when you have a low month. So Bureau of Labor Statistics has shown that almost a third of the population in the United States are gig workers currently. Now that might not be your full-time job or your main job, but most people who are doing that are doing it to have a little bit of extra savings, a little bit of a, hi Katie, so great to see you. So that's huge. A third of people who are not sure exactly what they're making each week might not have benefits to go along with it. So that's going to be super pertinent to you. Another thing, 50% of freelance workers. So if you're freelance writing, you're writing articles for publications, or you're doing contract work, 50% of those workers are having trouble getting compensated for their work. So maybe you're getting paid late, maybe you're not getting paid at all, or it's just not transparent. So this should give you a secure foundation so that you know that you have the money to pay the bills, even if you're waiting a few extra weeks for that paycheck. So living on a variable income, what it does is it creates shaky financial ground, right? You don't have control over when it's coming in. You can always work more, but it's important to be able to plan around your finances. You can also be left with a big bill if there's a medical issue, since you probably don't have benefits included with that temporary work. And you need to make sure that you're setting aside money for taxes and, as we like to emphasize, your retirement as well. So a few different types of variable income that we'll touch on today. In general, if you're a 1099 worker, a lot of times you're variable. So this could be hourly work, shift work, maybe you're, hi there, Kim, good to see you. If you work on commission, so maybe you're a salesperson, so you might have a base salary, but sometimes you get 500 in commission, sometimes you get a couple thousand. Tip workers, restaurants, bars, that type of thing. If you're a contract worker or freelance worker. Realtors, that's a big one. You might wait a few months for a paycheck and then get a huge one. So this will absolutely be helpful for you to plan around that. If you're a small business owner, so you're not sure how much you're able to draw each month, this will help you as well. And if you're a seasonal worker, so I live in Colorado. A lot of my friends work at summer resorts or ski resorts. And they've got to make enough money in the summer or the winter to make it through mud season. So if that's something that applies to you, please stick around. We'll go through some great tips on how to make that work. Some of the issues with variable income. So your taxes might not be withheld. So today is tax day, by the way. Happy tax day. If you get to tax day and you haven't had anything withheld, you might have a big surprise tax bill coming in. So we'll definitely talk about how to make sure that you're putting aside enough money to handle that. Since if you're a W-2 worker, that's handled for you. But if you're working on variable income, this is going to help out. Another issue with variable income, sometimes you'll rack up credit card debt to cover those lower months. So if you're a salesperson and you have a couple months where you're just in that slump, I've been there, I know how it is. Don't get yourself in that hole where you're just using your credit card because you think, you know what, 2 months from now, I'm going to be right back on top. I'm going to be making a bunch of money. This strategy that we'll work on today is a way for you to avoid that. You're not going to have to worry about uncertainty on whether next month's bills will be paid because you'll have a plan for it. And then another problem that I've heard from a lot of freelancer friends of mine is, sometimes you just take every project that comes your way because you know that you need the money. So if you have a plan, you can make sure that, you know what, that project's not exactly right for me. It's going to take a lot more work, won't be worth my time. You can pass that on to someone who might be better at it. You can take only the projects that you feel comfortable doing and that you know that you'll do a great job on. And the last, really important issue with variable income is, if you're trying to live paycheck to paycheck and trying to just make it, you may not be saving enough for retirement. So we're definitely building that in at Atwood Financial Planning. That's one of our biggest goals for our clients, is to get you right on track for retirement so that you can be there. You can be ready for it when it comes for you. Exactly. So Lori just mentioned, to pass on projects, you need to have that cash cushion. So we're going to talk to you right now about how to manage that. So few steps towards working towards fearless financials on a variable income. First step that we recommend is that you set up a separate account that we can call your business account, where all of your paychecks go. So let's say you're working, you're doing some freelance writing, you're doing a little driving for DoorDash, maybe you're driving for Uber. Hi, Ashley, thanks for joining. We're just talking about variable income here and how to make a plan for it. So set up that separate business account where all of your paychecks go. You don't want any money going to your checking account that you haven't already withheld from. So we'll get to that. So every time you get paid, you're going to put that money in your business account, take out about 25 to 35%, depending on your tax bracket. Take out that money, put it in a separate savings account for taxes, so that you don't even have to worry about it getting spent. Put that separately so that you have it ready to go for tax day when that comes around exactly 1 year from now. And then also important, if it fits in your budget, and we strongly recommend that you do this, set up contributions to a retirement account from that business account. So that should be 15% of your income. But even if you start with 1%, 5%, 10%, and keep building up, that's going to get you where you want to be. So you've got your separate business account. That's where your paychecks are going. You're siphoning off money for your taxes. You're saving some money for retirement. What's left in that business account is there to pay your bills. So figure out what your baseline normal expenses are. So that's going to be rent, gas, utilities, internet, all of the things that you have to pay every month, and include some discretionary funds in there as well. So, it's tempting to just make a very bare bones budget and say, all right, well, if I don't eat out, if I don't do any kind of entertainment, this is how much I need to survive. But that's hard to stick to on a month-to-month basis. So build your budget, have some cushion in there, have some discretionary spending in there so that you know that you have enough to spend on a normal month. And each month, so let's say that baseline amount that you need to live on each month is about $2,000. Each month you're going to transfer $2,000 from your business account into your personal account, so your checking account. That's where you're paying all your bills, that's where you're paying your credit card, and that's where you're taking out any cash. So that money that's come from your business account, that's already been withheld for taxes, you've already contributed some to retirement, and you're able to transfer that $2,000 at the beginning of the month for all your monthly expenses, knowing that you're okay. Each month, and you're going to want to put a little bit of a cushion in there, right? So maybe $100, $300 a month so that you have a little bit extra in there in case it is a slightly higher spending month. But the idea is each month pay yourself. So give yourself a paycheck from that business account so that you can pay your bills out of your checking. And in your good months, you'll be socking away more money in your business account. In your bad months, you'll still have that leftover amount from your good months that can help carry you through. And I always like to check my work. So what I would recommend, to go a little bit further here is figure out what your average monthly income is. So if your average income is $5,000, great, you're going to have plenty to survive on. But also look at the past few months, the past 6 to 12 months, and figure out what your standard deviation is. So if my average is $5,000, but I have a couple months of the year where I only make $1,000, I'm going to be in trouble during those months when I go to pay my bills. So make sure that you're building up that cushion in your business account so that you can transfer over the amount that you need when you have those leaner months. And if you expect to have more than one low earning month in a row, you're going to need to build up a few months of cushion there to make it work. Some more tips that can come from various budgeting philosophies here. You could build up a buffer of 1 month expenses. Ooh, and Lori has a question. Where do I save for my taxes? And we've got Dread and Terrible, welcome. So where do I save for my taxes? I would save in a separate savings account for that. And yes, absolutely pay yourself after you set aside for taxes. So it's tempting to say, oh, that's going to be, another 9 months before I have to even pay that. I'll make it up in the meantime. Please don't get stuck in that trap. It's very easy to get to, March 31st and be like, all right, I've got 2 weeks to figure out how I'm going to pay my tax bill. Always set that aside before you pay yourself. Great question, Lori. That's something that we can't emphasize enough. So on some more tips, so you could build up a whole month of buffer. So if you have a few good months, a few, big sales, or you're a realtor and you sell a few houses in a row, build up that buffer in your checking account so that you have a full month ready to go. And that way you're living on last month's expenses, which I can tell you is a very freeing proposition. And then after that, you're just paying yourself from your business account each month. And you don't have to worry about any, end of the month getting down to the very end of those funds and being worried about your next payday. Business checking. Yes, Larry. Good point. That's going to be in your business checking. So few benefits of using this system to take care, to make a plan for living on that variable income. It's a huge stress reliever. So I've worked with lots of people who are in that paycheck to paycheck cycle, who are working with variable income. Maybe they have a couple different jobs. Hours are not, steady. So maybe they have big account or big months, small months. It's a huge stress reliever to actually take control of your finances. I've worked with at least a handful of folks who are like, well, it's too stressful to look at. I don't want to worry about it. I just know that if I don't make much this month, then I just won't spend much this month. But it's much more freeing to know that you're going to be okay because you've been saving up and building that cushion and planning ahead for that variable income. You won't need to use your credit card to float through those leaner months. Credit card debt, you're going to end up paying 20% or more on that. So if you're waiting for a big money month to pay off that credit card debt, you're going to be paying hundreds of dollars in fees in the meantime. Another benefit to planning ahead for this, you're not scrambling for new income to pay the bills. You can also choose projects based on fit. And you'll end up with a better relationship with your money rather than avoiding it. A couple more questions from Lori. So do I need business accounts or regular accounts? That's up to you. You could use an actual business account if you're self-employed and you want those benefits. Many of them have benefits tied into them. Or if you have a couple different checking accounts, you could call one of your checking accounts your business account, call one of them your bill pay account, and transfer accordingly. Hi, Sarah. Great to see you. Another question from Lori. What if a large emergency expense comes up? Absolutely. So best case scenario, you've taken our general advice to save up an emergency fund. Maybe you've got 3 to 6 months worth saved up, and you can draw off of that for your large emergency expense. Let's say you're just at the beginning of this journey. You've watched this video, you've made this plan, you haven't built up a cushion yet. So that emergency expense comes through. You can pull on other general savings if you've got some. You can last resort put it on a credit card if you need to, or look for financing offers through that emergency expense. Maybe it's an appliance repair or something like that. But if you have that emergency expense come through, make a plan to pay it off as quickly as possible so that you can get out of the mindset of digging out of holes and into the mindset of building a pile of dough, as we might say, to cover those emergency expenses in the future. And Lori, if you'd like me to clarify on that, I can certainly do more. I did have a question from one of my clients, from Amy. She said, how do I budget appropriately when I never really know what's coming in? And that's a great question because she's talking about two different things. She's talking about a budget and she's talking about what's coming in. And we've separated those a little bit here, right? So if you have your business account where you're putting all your paychecks, what you're doing is building up that cushion so that you can cover those lower months. You shouldn't be budgeting based on, your lowest income necessarily, because we want to make sure that you're living the life that you're wanting to live here. So make sure that you are keeping track of what you're earning, know what your average is, build up that cushion, build up that balance in your business account so that you can pay yourself what you need to get through a normal month. And if you find that they're not matching up and you need, let's say your budget needs $2,500 to live comfortably and you're only making $2,200, maybe it's time to pick up an extra shift. Maybe it's time to sell some things and find some ways to get a little bit more cash flowing into your household so that you can live the lifestyle that you're actually looking to live. But it's a great question. That's something that I used to think about when I was on a commission-based job and needed to figure those types of things out. So you're not budgeting exactly, Lori says, you're not budgeting month to month. You're budgeting based on what you need, and you're building up that cushion so you can make it happen. Does anyone else have any questions here on our lost my audio for a second there. Well, if no one has any other questions, I'm going to leave it here for now. You can certainly comment later on when we post this video again. But please stay tuned for next week. We're going to have Eric running the Q&A building on this week's topic. He'll be talking a little bit more in depth on gig work and unemployment insurance. So super pertinent right now in these pandemic times. So if you have questions about today's topic, or if you'd like to preload a question for Eric for next week, please send us a DM. You can comment on this video once we post it, or you can email us at planning@atwoodfinancial.com. Thanks again for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys being here. Have a great day.